everyone, welcome back to Velvet Moments. There are certain kinds of moments that don't need heavy editing. They don't need dramatic background music or grand words layered on top. Some moments speak entirely for themselves. Through body language, through instinct, through a small reflex that happens so quickly it almost goes unnoticed. And yet, those are the moments that feel the most real. The most honest. And this time what we witnessed felt unmistakably genuine. Because we saw a side of Jungkook that doesn't always appear under the spotlight. Not Jungkook, the global superstar standing confidently on stage. Not Jungkook smiling casually into a camera. But Jungkook whose instincts shifted in a split second. For one reason and one person only, Jimin. Some people might dismiss it as simple concern. A natural reaction in a crowded place. But if you truly watch the sequence of events, how fast everything happens, how automatic it feels, you begin to understand that this goes beyond ordinary worry. This is protectiveness. This is reflex. This is something that surfaces before the mind has time to process it. And that is exactly why it feels so powerful. That feeling became even stronger when they finally arrived at Lisbon Airport in Portugal. After more than 20 hours of travel from Korea, passing through transit points, exhaustion weighing heavily on their bodies and finally stepping onto European soil, it was clear that everyone was tired. Their posture showed it. Their faces showed it. But what captured people's attention wasn't just the fact that BTS had arrived safely. It was the subtle yet undeniable shift in Jungkook the moment they entered the crowded airport space. Lisbon Airport was packed that day. Fans' cameras pointed from every direction. Staff moving quickly. Voices overlapping. Flashes of light constantly going off. In the middle of all that chaos, Jimin walked as he always does. Calm, composed, perhaps a little slower because of fatigue but still gentle and steady. Jungkook, however, did not walk the same way he usually does. Something changed. Without any signal, without saying a word, his body seemed to move on its own. He stepped slightly closer. Slightly ahead. His position adjusted as if his subconscious had already decided on one priority. Making sure Jimin was safe. And there was one brief moment, just a second, that sent chills through everyone watching. When someone moved a little too close to Jimin's side, Jungkook turned immediately. A sharp glance. An instinctive step forward. Not aggressive. Not exaggerated. But unmistakably clear. He was paying attention. He was ready to protect. And moments like that cannot be faked. They cannot be rehearsed. Because instinct does not come from fan service. Instinct comes from something deeply rooted, care that has grown quietly over time. Jungkook himself looked exhausted and that was obvious. Yet his focus never wavered. In a world filled with noise, cameras and movement, his attention stayed anchored to one person. As if everything else faded into the background. And Jimin knew. You could see it in the brief glance he gave. In the nearly invisible smile. In the soft expression that seemed to say, "I'm okay. I'm with you." Sometimes the strongest bonds don't need verbal confirmation. They reveal themselves in the smallest details. In adjusted steps. In unspoken distance maintained from others. In a quiet presence that stands like a shield without making a sound. At Lisbon Airport that moment gave fans goosebumps. Not because it was sweet but because it felt real. Jungkook wasn't thinking about the cameras. He wasn't performing. He was simply being himself. Someone who cares deeply about Jimin. And perhaps that is what makes it so touching. Because beneath the rules, the scrutiny and the carefully managed world of idols, some things still slip through the cracks. Instinct. Feelings too honest to hide. Protectiveness is not something you plan. It's not something you switch on for an audience. It happens before you're aware of it. It's a bodily response that moves faster than thought. And Jungkook's instinct around Jimin has always felt different. Subtle, calm, but consistently present. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. The way his eyes automatically track Jimin's position in a crowd. The way his shoulders shift when someone gets too close. The way his entire energy changes. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but firmly. Steadily. As if his priorities realign without needing explanation. Because in that Lisbon Airport moment, it wasn't about being an idol arriving in Europe. It wasn't about fans calling their names or cameras flashing endlessly. It was about two people moving through exhaustion and chaos, and one of them quietly making sure the other was okay. And perhaps the most emotional part of all is this. Jimin didn't look surprised. He didn't look confused. He didn't seem to wonder why Jungkook was doing it. He looked like someone who was already familiar with that kind of quiet protection. Someone who had experienced it often enough that it felt normal between them. There was comfort there. Trust. An unspoken understanding that said, "You don't need to say it. I already know." Relationships like this live between words. In the way Jungkook slows down when Jimin slows down. In the way he remains alert even when exhaustion weighs heavily on him. In the way his gaze softens the moment Jimin is near, even in the middle of disorder. Fans often call these things moments, but this feels like more than that. It's a pattern, a history, a connection that continues to reveal itself in the smallest, most human ways. In an industry where nearly everything is controlled, angles, schedules, expressions, instinct is the one thing that cannot be edited. And Jungkook's instinct always seems to return to the same place, Jimin. So when people ask, was this intentional? The answer might be no. And that's exactly the point. Because protectiveness like this doesn't come from thought. It comes from feeling. Lisbon Airport didn't just capture BTS's arrival in Europe. It captured something softer. Something deeper. A quiet truth that no matter how crowded the world becomes, Jungkook will always find a way to stay just a little closer to Jimin. Always. And honestly, that's why it feels so real. Flushed face, red heart, because it isn't loud. It isn't forced. It doesn't feel staged. It's simply Jungkook being Jungkook, protecting Jimin before he even realizes he's doing it. A fleeting glimpse of sincerity slipping through, too genuine to conceal. So now I want to ask you, do you think Jungkook realizes just how protective he is? Or is it pure instinct, something his heart does before his mind can catch up? Let me know in the comments. Was this just a small airport moment, or did Lisbon once again prove that Jungkook always moves differently when it comes to Jimin? And if you notice that look, that step, that silent shield, comment "too real" below. Because ARMY knows this isn't just a moment. It's a feeling. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with Velvet Moments, because the next story might feel even more undeniable. See you in the next video. Purple heart sparkles.